Hello, N4H&H here. So you're looking at the FT-710 AESS from Yaesu, and this is the video where I'm going to go ahead and set up the transmit audio. So we'll need a microphone, and this is the microphone that comes with the radio, the SSM75E. That is the Yaesu hand mic. Okay, the truth is this is the one that goes with my FT-710. If you recall from video 1, I left the microphone for the FT-710 in its box because this is a loaner. But I'll just use my microphone, which plugs in lower left. Okay, you want to make sure it clicks. And so Yaesu's come out of the box with nothing set as far as mic EQ. So you hear so many people get on the air with one and they expect it's going to sound great right out of the box, just like a 7300 does, but that's not the case. We're going to go into function, and the first thing I'm going to do is radio setting, and I'm in mode SSB, so I'm going to move over here to the menu setting here, and you see it comes, the yellow, now let me zoom in. All right, so it comes out of the box set at a transmit bandwidth, that is transmit bandpass filter select. And it comes out of the box set for, let me zoom in a little bit here, there we go. Comes out of the box set for 100-2900. So first thing I do is I change that to 300 to 2700. So in other words, I want to transmit with a 2.4 kilohertz bandwidth. Now why? Well, go back and watch my video entitled Power Spectral Density. Huh? It's got a question mark after the word huh. And you'll understand where I'm coming from on that in more detail, but I'll just tell you this. It's a good happy medium between working DX and rag chew. But also, too, it's going to be much more efficient as far as your transmitter is concerned. It will maximize the efficiency of your transmitter. A lot of people set their audio so wide, and you're wasting energy at frequencies that, quite honestly, are not necessary. So I want to maximize, this 100-watt radio. I want to put the most portion. I want that 100 watts to occupy the least amount of bandwidth, therefore my watts per hertz increase. Okay, so go back and watch the power spectral density video if you want to know more about that. But also I just get stellar reports with a 300 to 2700 hertz bandwidth, and many of you have told me that using the same you get unsolicited compliments about your transmit audio. So I think that's proven out. And not only that, even if you disconnect the hand mic and plug in something like an M70, yes, I do not recommend $500 and $600 microphones. I know Yaesu sells them. You do not need it because of what I'm about to show you. The I think it's less than $150 for an M70 desk mic, and it will do the trick for you. So the only thing we're going to set in here is the transmit bandpass filter select. Then we're going to hit back, and we're going to go into operation setting, and this is where we'll go down to transmit audio, leave the AMC release time where it is. The AMC is the automatic mic gain control. It's a type of limiter. And now this radio has an NXP Semiconductors DSP chip. So I don't know how this is going to work out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to program it with the same parameters that I program the FT-DX10 with for the hand mic. And I'm literally reading off of that PDF, the menu and customizations PDF that is available to the Patreon supporters who are executive or VIP level. It's a PDF they can download, and I cover every menu change I make, including transmit audio for several different types of microphones, and then I also cover all the controls and what each one of them is for and how I combine the use of them. So it's an owner's manual of a type, but I like to give you the whys, not just the changes, but the whys. So I'm reading off of that right now, and I'm going to set the Parametric Eq1. Now, by the way, this is a Parametric EQ for when you're not using the speech processor. and I'm going to set that to 300 hertz because I've told the bandpass filter I want to roll off at 300 hertz anyway. Now I'm going to move down to the level, and I'm going to set that on 10, which is max. And yeah, there are people that have posted stuff about me saying, well, you know, if you're going to turn them all to 10, then you might as well just turn up the mic gain. No, that's not exactly true, because I'm boosting only certain frequencies. Turning the mic gain up is going to boost everything. So sorry about that for the folks who don't like my method. I'm going to leave the bandwidth, which is Q. Okay, I've talked about this before. It's a little bit it's a little bit confusing the way Yaesu the terms they use, because they call this bandwidth, which implies that the 10 is a wide bandwidth and 1 is a narrow bandwidth. It's actually opposite. This is really what's called a Q factor. What you're saying is, let me turn this down a little bit. What you're actually saying with this number is what's the quality of the filter that you want. And when they measure filter quality, they're actually measuring the amount of spectrum that a filter allows through. So a higher quality filter will be a higher Q. So even though this is labeled as bandwidth, it really should have been labeled Q. I think that Yaesu chose to do it this way so that people who aren't familiar with what a Q factor is would maybe understand it. So maybe if it's kind of a layman's thing, but I just want you to know, my viewers, this is really Q. So therefore, what we're saying here is that we want a narrow filter here at 300 hertz. So we literally only want to boost 300 hertz. Okay, as I tell you many times, a filter is not a brick wall. It will allow some on each side of 300, but in other words, we want it to be mostly focused on 300 hertz. Okay, so now for Parametric Eq2, I'm going to set the frequency to 1300. Why? Well, because I've found 1300 is a sweet spot. For your voice, you might try 1400 or 1200. You know, get a friend to listen to you and see if one of those other frequencies works out better for you. And now the level there, well, I'm going to go all the way. Going to boost it at 10. But this time, the bandwidth, or Q in this case, really, I want it to. In other words, I want this one to affect a wider range of frequencies each side of 1300. So a low number in bandwidth means a low Q factor, which means a wide filter. All right, now next, Parametric Eq3, I'm going to set at 2400 hertz. Why? Well, again, because I've played with this and figured out the best numbers for the Yaesu hand mic. But 2400 is kind of my go-to anyway. And again, for your voice, maybe 2500, maybe 2300. Sorry, bumped the camera there. But the deal is, you're gonna want to put the that at, let me see, what did I have? Boosting it all the way, 10. This time, I'm going to change the bandwidth all the way down to 1. In other words, I want to affect a wider range of frequencies up, above and below 2400 hertz. So again, and what that's going to give you is some intelligibility. Well, so will the 1300. Both of those work together. And I've shown you in other videos in the FT-DX10 series how you can look at the AFFFT, and you will actually see this boost at 300, the boost at 1300, and the boost at 2400. Again, illustrating that this is different than just turning up your mic gain. Now, there's another set that we're going to go through here, and these are for when you're running the processor. So in this case, I'm going to, it's kind of dependent upon whether you're going to, let me explain. You could set this up to where when you're using the processor, notice these are labeled, let me bring these up to the top here. These are labeled P parametric. And that means that this is the set of EQs that it will use when you enable the processor, the speech processor. In other words, it does not use that first set that I just input all that data for. It ignores those and switches over and uses these. So in a sense, you can set up two different equalization maps, if you want to call it that, equalization curves, according to whether you're using the processor or not. So a lot of people will use the processor when they're working DX. So in that case, what you could do is you could set this maybe at 400 or 500 hertz, meaning you don't want as much low content in your voice. You want to accentuate the mids and the highs to help you break a pile up. So I'll go ahead and put that on 400. And then the level, I'm going to go ahead with this time I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get too carried away with the level. I'm going to set it on 6. And the parametric EQ width, I'm going to go with the default of 2. In other words, I want it to be fairly wide. I want it to affect change to frequencies above and below 400, but centered up on 400. Now, I got to move my my cheat sheet over here. Ran off the page, so let me get this over here and move down the page a little bit so I can see the rest. Okay, so now we'll go to the next parametric EQ, the mids, and I'm going to set that again on 1300. And for that level, we're going with 10. Going to boost it all the way. Again, this is kind of a DX setup here. And then the bandwidth is 2. So we're not going to, 1 would mean we would affect a wider range of frequencies each side of 1300 hertz, but we're still gonna affect a wider range, but we're not gonna go quite as wide as 1. And then P Parametric Eq3, we're gonna go to my magic number there, 2400. That's where you get a lot of intelligibility in the human voice. This is why, you know, the guys that want to run, 4K wide or even 3K wide, honestly, is not necessary. And your watts per hertz are diminished when you're doing that. So 2400 is a good place to land to get that maximum intelligibility. In other words, you're working at rare DX station, you're down in the weeds a little bit for him, well, him or her. So the 2400 and really the 1300 kind of work together to boost your intelligibility. So even if you are in a noise floor that would be difficult for them to copy, they'll be able to tell what words you're saying. So again, this is more or less an EQ that is optimized for working DX. And now let's see, that's 2400. We're gonna boost it at 10, going all the way with it there, and we're gonna narrow this one. So we're gonna use a high Q. We're gonna go to 10. We want to just focus on that 2400 range. And again, these are not brick wall filters. There'll be a little bit of effect up and down from 2400, but we're not going to affect as high up and down below 2400 as we would if we were to set that on 1 or 2. All right, and then that's the end of that. You see, when I try to rotate the knob, you can't see the knob rotating. I got you zoomed in, but I'm rotating the function knob and I'm out. That's it. That's all there is to set. So I hit back and I'm going to tap the back button. And now this is so important. If you miss this step, then everything you just did doesn't matter. Because you can set those EQs up all day long and nobody will be able to tell the difference unless you do this. Mic EQ, on. You just tap it and now it says on. Now it will use those equalizer settings. Now what determines whether it's using the processor equalizer settings or not? Right here, processor level. Now there is no, small radios like this, you don't have the real estate, you don't have the real estate to have a dedicated button out here to just say, processor on or off. So basically you turn the processor on by by tapping processor, and that means that now the function knob is affecting the processor level. Now I don't like to leave it there. I'll go back. I usually put it on CW speed if I'm working CW or power output. But right now it's set for processor level, and I'll just tell you my magic number for processor is 15. Sometimes trying to break a pile up, I might push it and go up to as high as 20, or 17 would be a compromise. Now, again, I'm basing all of this on how I set up the FT-DX10, and since this has a different DSP, it remains to be seen whether all these numbers will translate over perfectly or not. Okay, so back into the menu, and AMC level. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to run it at 100. In fact, I don't like to go above 65. I will start with 65. The AMC is, again, acting as a type of limiter to keep you from overdriving. All right, you don't want to go too low then, though, because then you're going to starve the transmitter. You won't have enough power. You won't be able to push it to 100 watts, you know. So you got to find that happy medium there. Now, we'll go to mic gain. Now, I will tell you on this one, this is very, very subjective to your voice. I'm going to switch over to the dummy load and show you how I will now fine-tune these settings. So mic gain, I'm going to turn the processor off. Sorry about bumping the camera. I'm working in a tight spot here. So I'm going to turn the processor level to 0, which now means, let me reiterate back into the menu, that it is going to use, under operation setting, transmit audio, it is going to be using the parameters that just say PRMTRC, not the ones that have PRMTRC, which implies that the processor is enabled. So now the EQ settings that it's going to use are these, starting with 300 and 1300 and going up. All right, so again, back out of here. And I'm going to tap the power out, or the S meter is right now set to power out. And I'm going to switch that over to ALC. Whoops. Got to, there we go. So ALC, trying to do that left-handed and I'm right-handed. Just trying to stay out of the camera for you guys, sorry. Now, by the way, the S meter is sitting up there high because I'm using RF gain, so I'll lower that so you don't get confused. And remember, we're not really interested in the top scale, but you could use it as a point of reference. I'm zoomed way in. I hope that that is focused, but hopefully you can read that. I'm transmitting into the dummy load, and let me double check. The power is at 100 watts. That's what I want. N4 H and H. Hello, 1 2 1 2. N4 H and H. So we want that ALC to go up there near that blue line. Hello, November 4 Hotel, November Hotel testing. Well, I can tell you right now, I don't normally have to run the mic gain that high, but it looks like I will have to. So let me tap mic gain. N4 H and H. And now what I'm doing is I'm increasing the mic gain. Now I can tell by the increasing the mic gain, and it's not really changing it, that I'm being held back by the AMC. So that definitely seems different than the than with the FT-710. So I'm going to move this over to AMC level. Hello, 1 2 N4 H and H. And I know the manual will tell you use the compressor setting, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with AMC. They had it out of the box at 100, and look. Wow, it seems like it's going to take 100 to get that thing up there. You see what I mean? If you lower it, what happens? Look at that. It's just squashing your signal. So this is definitely acting different with this NXP Semiconductors chip. And I'll mention to you that with the, yes, I'm transmitting into a dummy load, but I want you to see the meter deflecting. With the FT-710, the default for the AMC was 50. So I think Yaesu gave us a little bit of a hint there with that 100 setting in the NXP chip. So clearly there are differences here between the FT-710 and the FT-710 as a result of this different DSP chip. So that's interesting. Now I'm going to tap and go to comp, the compressor meter. Oh, got to unkey to do that. And we want that to be around 10. By the way, it can be somewhat forgiving. N4 H and H. Now you don't want it to live up there at 15. Definitely acting different than the FT-710. That's giving me the idea that the mic gain is a little high. Definitely a different animal than the FT-710 in this respect. Okay, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello. Now there's no way I need to run the mic gain that low. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, 1 2. N4 H and H. N4 H and H. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with 50 and just accept that higher number there. This seems a little bit odd. And look what the meter's doing, even when I don't talk. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Hey, 1 2 1 2. and it delayed jumping up there. So I don't think this can be trusted, to be honest with you. I don't think that's very trustworthy. The FT-710, you can definitely rely on these meters. So let me try this. Go back to ALC. Hello, N4H and H. N4, hello, hello, hello. Man, I mean, I cannot force it into the blue. Hello, hello, hello. Even when I run the mic gain way up. So I'm gonna leave it on the default of 50. A lot of times these Yaesu defaults are a good hint, by the way. Let me get back into AMC level. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. N4 8. And I'm not really, I'm noticing hello, hello. I'm not seeing a huge bit of difference. Hello, yep. There it is. All right, so interesting. I'm gonna go with the default AMC level at 100. Hello, hello. I can see a little bit of clamping action going on. You notice that it jumps up and then pulls back. Hello, hello. That looks a little better. Watch this at 100. Hello, hello. See, it's actually restricting me a little bit. You can see it try to go up. Hello, hello. So, but see, it drops back a little bit. So I'm going to find a little compromise in here. Maybe try 80. Hello, hello. See it clamping a little bit? I'm going to try 75. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, it's not clamping, but it's not quite making it. 78, compromise. Hello, hello. 1 2, hello. Maybe 80 is good. N4 H and H testing. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, that's probably splitting hairs now. Maybe 79. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, that looks the best yet. So I can see it going up, but not overshooting and then being pulled back. So that's kind of weird. I'm going to hold it there at 79. Probably 78 would be okay too. Now I will engage the processor and do all this over again and check it with the processor. And I'm going to go to my magic number 15. But with this processor, it can be completely different. N4 H and H. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so we're not overshooting. And honestly, the only way you're going to be able to really judge this is with some headphones on. But that's not the final. That's not the final word either, because you're going to need to get on the air with a friend and have that friend listen to you because they know your voice, and you'll put the finishing touches on with that. And you definitely want to be careful with the processor. Don't overdrive it. I tell you what I'm going to do is just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my Heil headset so I can listen to the audio. Let me zoom out so you can see what I just did. So I just plugged my Heil headset in right here, and I'm going to put the headphones on, and I'll give you a verbal description of what I'm hearing. Now, in order for me to hear it, I've got to turn on monitor level, and I'm going to set that to 45, which is where I usually set it for the FT-710, and it usually is a good setting. So now let me transmit, and I'll tell you what I hear. N4 H and H. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Well, it doesn't sound bad. Let me turn it back to processor. So now the function knob is controlling processor. N4 H and H. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Now I'm gonna push the envelope. Let me just trying to nasty it up a little bit. Honestly, it looks like the AMC is holding on a little bit and helping out. You know what? It's hard to tell in the headphones. You're gonna have to get on the air with a friend and have the friend give you an idea. I'm gonna unkey, switch over to compressor. The speech processor is a type of compressor, so this is the scale to also check for compression. N4 H and H. Hello, hello. Wow, that compressor scale is acting very different than the than on the FT-710, and I'm running it way up. Hello. N4 H and H testing, and you want to keep it at around 10. Now that's crazy because remember with the when we were doing it without the compressor turned on, without the processor, that thing was overshooting up to about 15. So I got to be honest with you, I think this scale cannot be relied upon. I think what you're going to have to do I mean, I'm talking right now into the mic. Look at that. I think what you're going to have to do, let me zoom in, is I think what you're going to have to do is just get on the air and let your friend tell you how you sound. But and that's what I'll be doing. Okay, so now, yeah, look at that. Hello. I mean, it just that meter. I'm sorry, Yaesu, you got to fix this. That meter's not acting right. You know, just don't rely on this meter to set your audio. I can tell you that right now. I could do it with the FT-710, but I got to be honest with you, folks. I'm finding some weaknesses in this NXP Semiconductors DSP chip. You know, the one thing I've found so far in this video series that I pointed out is the DNF, the digital notch filter, does seem to do the job without introducing distortion. But other than that, you know, okay, shift and all that work, shift and notch, it was work, but I'm not too impressed with what I'm seeing here with how this DSP chip is reflected on the meter itself, and also too, the digital noise reduction is not great. 3 is not enough, and 4 is too aggressive. So I hope you saw that video. Anyway, yeah, this is. Let me turn the processor off. And then you just have to do it, you have to just turn the, now see, look at that. We don't have the compressor on now, the processor on now, and that thing's showing 20, peaking at 20. And then it's also, as I talk, you're not really seeing the meter respond in real time. So this is an issue. I won't be able to rely on the meter to set the audio. Now, what I'm hearing in the headphone, I can definitely tell that the processor was turned off. And yeah, I'm having to run it up pretty high. I don't think my magic number of 15 is going to work. Ooh, that was clearly distorted. I don't think my magic number of 15 is going to work with this rig. It sounds to me in my headphones, and I'm probably going to wind up at maybe 30. So I'll have to get on the air with it and just see how that works out. But yeah, interesting. All right, I'm going to take the headphones off. And let's see, do I want to get on the air with this thing right quick and just get a radio check? Probably get hammered, depending on who I ask. Some of the guys on 7150, one of them in particular is very, very critical of audio, and especially if it's not an ICOM. Okay, but let's see what we got here. I'll do it, I tell you what, to be on the safe side, I'm going to do it without the processor first. I don't know if he's in there now. He was in there earlier. Okay, see DNF. Whoops, gotta hit the on. DNF will take care of that. Now with the FT-710, you press function and DNF's down here, but when you tap it, it turns right on. In this rig, you have to tap it and then choose on. But I don't, you know, I've shown in other videos, I don't hear any noticeable distortion in the receive audio. On the FT-710, it's mostly noticeable with stronger signals. You know, people that are S9 or more, to me, it's noticeable. If you toggle the DNF on and off, you can hear the distortion clear up. I haven't noticed it on this rig. Okay, yeah, but right. Oh, there he is.
I got my electric bill coming out every month automatically on my checking account.
See if I can get in there and
I'm going to go ahead and
get a quick radio check.
My water bill the same way, and I'm going to sign up for my gas bill, and I'm going to do that the same way. Right now, you know, I've been paying electricity on my brother's house down there. I had it on because
yeah, I definitely don't hear any difference on or off. With the FT-710 signal like that would have had a little distortion in it. I just don't use the DNF. I use manual notch. It's more effective anyway.
Ain't been very much because don't have no.
And you saw in previous videos the manual notch on the FT-710 is very effective.
Center unit cut off, and I got the hot water heater cut off, so it don't run all time. But when I sell this house, then I won't be paying the electric bill on that anymore. Thank goodness.
I hate to butt in, but Billy will help me.
That'd be a
He's
little
very
bit
critical of audio.
more money in my pocket.
N4 H&H. Got to turn the monitor off. Whoops, not my EQ, monitor level. I'll leave it on mic gain for now, since the processor's off. Maybe Billy heard me, we'll see. I'm just running barefoot. Band conditions have been terrible the last couple of days. I'm gonna turn on DNR. And 3 is about as high as you can go. Otherwise you get that watery effect. So it's definitely not as effective. A little bit of difference, but not much. Not like the 3 on this rig is probably not even as effective as 1 is on the FT-710. There we go. So you see the DNF took it right out. But like I said, I would normally use manual notch. When they're transient like that, I get it. You know, you can use DNF, and in this radio, it's not going to hurt anything. In the FT-710, if I use DNF to trap the transients, I just got to live with the fact that audio is going to sound a little distorted from the other station. You would not want to give anybody a mic check or an audio check with DNF turned on in an FT-710. This particular frequency in my neighborhood has some noise just at this frequency too. You'll notice I do have manual notch on, and I'll turn it off so you can see why. There's that heterodyne. It moves around as the day goes on. So
okay, Johnny.
Okay.
Enjoy your lunch. Yeah, that chicken and potato sounds good to me. That sounds real good. You and the wife have a good day, and I catch you a little bit later. 73. Hello, Doug.
He heard me. Hey, Billy, N4 H&H. Why don't you help me out a little bit? I'm literally just for the first time putting an FT-710 AESS on the air, and it's got a different DSP chip than the FT-710, so I have no idea if my mic settings from the FT-710 will really work with this one. I've already noticed some differences in the DSP, but how's it sound? Is it terrible or is it decent?
Well, it don't sound terrible, but it don't sound like you. Now, what radio is that?
It's Yaesu's newest rig. I'm shooting a video series for my YouTube channel about it. It's the FT-710 AESS, which is a audio enhanced speaker system. It comes with an external speaker, and you use both the internal and external speakers, and it's a little bit of like a surround sound effect.
Yeah, it could sound better. Like I said, it don't sound like you. It's a little bit different. 84 Pink Floyd Cal hooked one of them up a ham radio outlet, and he didn't think too much of that radio.
Well, the DSP is not as good as the FT-710 from what I'm finding out. So far, I will say the DNF works without causing distortion, but the digital noise reduction is nowhere near the level of the FT-710, to be honest with you. And I'm noticing that the compressor meter, as I'm talking to you, it doesn't respond like it should, and it definitely doesn't respond like it does in the FT-710. As a matter of fact, I don't have the processor on, and it's hitting 20 dB. And the funny thing is, if I turn the processor on, I can barely get it above 5. So it's really wild, because I can hear it in the headphones. If I try to get it above 5, it gets to a point of distortion that I can actually hear. But I'm thinking maybe, do you think the mic gain needs to come up any, or is it too much?
Yeah, I hit a step over there and do something real fast. But, yeah, just like I said, Cal, he said he hooked one up, and he said it didn't do nothing for him.
Oh, no, I would definitely recommend somebody spend the extra money on the FT-710, no doubt. Even though this comes with a speaker, and that was, you know, with an FT-710, you'd have to pay an extra $170 to get the external speaker, but or 780, maybe it's 180, I don't know. So do you think the mic gain is too low or too high, or about right?
Mic gain okay, it's just your audio.
Okay, now I do not have the processor on, and you're accustomed to hearing me with a high-O microphone and a processor on. So let me go ahead and engage the processor and see what it sounds like.
Yeah, you double with me. But like I said, you might be running a different microphone too.
Oh, I am. I'm running the hand mic. That's what I said. You were used to hearing me with a high-O mic, and this is the hand mic. And I also was not running the processor. I normally run the processor. I don't run it really hot on the FT-710, usually around 15. But in this rig, I'm running at 20 now. Can you tell the processor's enabled?
Yeah, I could tell it. You sound better. You buy that radio, or somebody loan it to you?
No, it's a loaner for me to shoot the series. I didn't buy it. No.
Well, that's nice though.
Oh yeah, and I can be blunt if I want to. I like on my channel, my YouTube channel. I don't have a sponsor, so I tell people how it is. You know, I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you think the processor is helping?
Yeah, it sounds more like you.
Okay, well that's good then, because I've got it EQ'd exactly the way I do for the hand mic on the FT-710. Now, when I'm running the high mic on the FT-710, I use completely different parameters, because as you well know, the high mic, you got to knock the bottom end out and boost some mids and highs. So now I just turned the processor up a little bit. Did I go too far?
No, I wouldn't go no further, but no.
Okay, so now we've
okay. I wouldn't
found
go
it.
no further.
I'll go to 23. Okay, I'm going to compromise then. I'd gone from 20 to 25. Now I'm at 23. What do you think about 23?
I'll leave it alone.
Okay, and as far as the audio spectrum, you know me, I don't like to sound like a bullfrog. I like to maximize the power spectral density. You think I'm punching in the right places as far as the EQ?
Yeah, I'll leave it alone. So like I said, it sounds good. I'll leave it where you got it to me. That's what I would do.
Well, you know, Billy, that's saying a lot coming from you, because I know you don't really like processors, but it looks like in the case of this radio, the processor is going to make the difference. It's funny though, I can barely, every now and then I'm going above 5 dB on the compression scale. I've said it in the video earlier. I'm shooting a video, by the way. Hope you're okay with that. The compressor meter is all over the place. It's not to be believed. That's why I say always get on the air and get somebody who knows your voice to give you the final critique.
Yeah, you're gonna make a movie star out of me. I might become famous.
Well, Billy, I got to break the news to you, man. You're in a bunch of my videos, because I tend to come here when I need to hear people talk. And not only that, there's a heterodyne. It just happens to be on this frequency in my neighborhood. I've done the breaker test to prove that it is not coming from my home. And so it gives me an excuse to show off things like notch filters and things like that. So I kind of tend to come here. And because you guys you usually have good signals. Band conditions have been terrible the last day or so, but it does help me out. So you are definitely in my videos. I don't know about famous, but you're well. Let's hope you're not infamous, right, Billy? N4H&H.
Yeah, well, you know, no, I'm feel like you said that. But anyway, on the audio and stuff, yeah, you okay with that? And
Well, getting Billy's approval? Wow.
USA, you out there listening, I want over in that PW2 coming out. Give a little push, man. I still haven't heard nothing about when the
He runs ICOM.
going to be on that thing.
That's an ICOM 7600. Yeah, you know, this whole supply chain thing, I mean, I'm not saying that I doubt it's real or anything, but it sure has become quite an excuse. But it does seem that that certain types of components that companies need are just not available. Well, okay, Billy, I'm going to jump out of here, and I want to thank you for the audio report with this Yaesu FT-710. Literally, you're the first person for me to talk to on it, and I took a stab at the EQ settings just based on what I use for the FT-DX10 when I'm using its stock mic, which is, well, extremely rare because I tend to use the Heil headset. But thanks a lot. Appreciate you jumping in there and helping me out with that. 73 to you from my 100 watts and a ZS6 BKW to your probably kilowatt and your ZS6 BKW. 73 N4H&H.
Okay, Doug, anytime. Yeah, but the PW run one, I'm running about, peaking about 500 watts. So, anytime. Catch you later. Alpha Delta 4, Pink Floyd, listening.
Okay, well, so there we go. It seems like the FT-710 needs the processor. Now, you may recall, and Billy might have picked up on this, that when I went into the EQ for transmit audio, that I actually, and this is probably a little bit of what he heard, was I did not boost at 300 hertz. I boosted at 400 hertz, and I didn't boost it as much as I do for when not running the processor. So he probably, you could tell maybe from his audio, he likes that punch. So he probably picked up on the fact that I wasn't putting as much low content out, but that maximizes the watts per hertz. So it gives you, if you don't have an amplifier, it gives you a little bit of an edge when you're only running barefoot. Okay, hey, I didn't mean for this video to be this long, but it's a very important aspect of these radios, getting your transmit audio set up right. So I hope that you were able to find out what you wanted here from this video. Okay, I'm going to insert this footage into this video because I think it's appropriate dealing with transmit audio. I had mentioned to you that you could use the AF FFT scope down in the bottom right there to analyze your audio. You can also analyze the audio of people you're listening to. So I want you to see what we ended up with after my conversation with Billy and, tweaking this a little bit. So what's the AF FFT? I'm transmitting into the dummy lobe. Hello, N4H&H. Can you see those three humps? You see in the very, very bottom there, you'll see my peaks that are around 300 hertz. And then you'll also see the peaks that are up around 1300 hertz. And then look, you see the scale on bottom's got 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Of course, that's kilohertz. So if you look about halfway between 2 and 3, you'll see a peak there as well. So those are the sweet spots. I'm peaking down around 300, around 13, and it's extending up to 1500-ish a little bit. And then also around 2400, just below that vertical line that is the halfway point between 2 and 3, 2.0 and 3.0. So that's about ideal. That's how we want it to look. All right, hopefully that translates well over the screen and you can see that. And hey, I want to thank the Patreon support team for bringing these videos to you. I want to thank Ham Radio Outlet for making this video possible because they loaned the radio to me for to shoot this series. If you would, please click thumbs up, smash that thumbs up, the like button here for the video. It helps us out with YouTube, doesn't cost you anything. And if you would, consider subscribing to the channel. If you do subscribe, be sure to click that notification bell and you'll be notified when I upload the next video in this series and even in the others. And also, too, I should mention a lot of the things that you've learned if you've watched my FT-DX10 series do apply to this rig. This is, of course, as I found out in this video, in the transmit audio, not so much the EQ, but in the area of the AMC, mic gain, and processor, it is a little bit different. But, you know, if you watch the FT-710 series, there's a lot there you can apply to this FT-710. And so anyway, and also, if you would, please share a link to this video with your friends on social media, text message, email, or phone a friend. I would appreciate that very much. And consider joining my Patreon team. That's why I can bring you these videos and I can show you the negative, because I'm not going to hide it from you. On this channel, you're going to get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the chips fall where they may. As much as I like the FT-710, I am finding some not so great things here in the FT-710. That doesn't mean it's not a good radio for you. It depends upon your operating style. If you don't use digital noise reduction, then you probably don't care. Obviously, we can get good audio out of the rig. We've discovered that the notch filter, the auto notch, is better in the FT-710. But yes, the digital noise reduction is better in the FT-DX10. But, you know, this makes a nice little portable rig. And if you don't really rely heavily on DNR, you'd probably be happy with this radio. Hey, thanks for watching, and 73 from N4HNH.